Hi, I'm Mary Scholl, and I am so grateful to be able to be here with you all today um, at the Second International Congress, a virtual Congress of English with the Minister of Education in Peru. Thank you so much for the invitation. It is so nice to be with you today. And today I'm going to talk with you about the power of community of practice. So you'll notice the way I created the title is the power of community first, and then I'll practice in parentheses, because I think number one, we have to work on community, and number two, the practice. I'm going to talk more about that as we go. The first thing I would like to invite you to do is just a little arrival practice. Our practice here is to be present, to be mindful, and to belong, to feel a sense of belonging. Everyone is welcome in whatever way you are. So I want to invite you to just take 3 breaths with me and notice, where is your mind? Where is your body? What's happening with your emotions? So let's take 3 breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. How was that? How was it to just take a couple minutes to take 3 breaths and check in with yourselves? Where's your body right now? And how connected are you to your body? What's happening inside your mind and your thinking? And what's happening with your heart and your emotions? A quick check-in is always helpful, just to help us be present, be mindful, and to begin to belong. So I want to start out with a variation on a poem that I think really speaks to this topic. And what I did is I took the poem, and it started out at I think a C1 level. And so I asked ChatGPT to help me make 2 variations of it. So I'm going to give you the 2 variations, and then I'm going to give you the poem as it's actually in a song. So the first variation is this: no one is alone. No one is alone. We all need friends. When you're happy, I feel happy. When you're sad, I feel sad. We help each other. We stand together, and everyone is my friend. That's A1. B2, no one is an island. And I asked ChatGPT to make it inclusive, because the way the poem originally is, it's not inclusive language. It's mostly geared towards male-focused language, masculine language. So I said, this is the B1 version with inclusive English. No one is an island. No one stands alone. Each person's joy is joy to me. Each person's grief is my own. We need one another, so I will defend each one as my sibling, each one as my friend. And this is the original version of the poem, but it's sung by Joan Baez. It's a John Donne poem. It's called No Man is an Island. No man is an island. No man stands alone. Each man's joy is joy to me, and each man's grief is my own. We need one another, so I will defend each man as my brother, each man as my friend. This poem, this John Donne poem, is a poem about how we need each other. And to me, it speaks to the fundamental essence of communities of practice, that we are not alone, that we experience emotions together. We need each other, and we need to defend each other as our siblings, as our friends, as our colleagues. We need to defend each other's learning. And so that's what communities of practice are about. Let's take a look. In 2020 to November 2020 to February 2022, My institution had the honor and the opportunity to lead a course on educational leadership and communities of practice that was sponsored and organized by the Regional English Language Office in Peru. And we did it in collaboration with the Ministry of Education in Peru. And the course was about educational leadership and communities of practice. And it's so exciting to hear that many of these communities of practice are still thriving today. So thank you for that opportunity. And we look forward to hearing from more people just about how things are going with those communities of practice. I want to share a metaphor about how we envision in that project and now also in communities of practice growing. In stage one, and I'm using the chirimoya because it's so delicious and it's such a great fruit. Stage one, we have seeds and we have somebody else's fruit, but we get the seeds from that fruit. And maybe we've actually eaten that fruit. In stage two, we plant the seeds and we help them grow, right? And in stage three, we get a tree. And in stage four, after stage three, we have our tree, and then the tree bears fruit. This is a beautiful metaphor that I think we can use to think about how communities of practice grow. It's not something that just happens. It's not something that you can just say, be a community, do it now, go. It's like cultivating a plant, right? We need to understand the seeds. We need to plant the seeds, nurture the seeds, wait, spend time for those seeds to grow into small plants and trees, and then for the tree to get to the point where it can finally bear its own fruit. And so it's important to remember that communities of practice have a similar process. It takes time to grow them. And it's exciting to hear about the fruit that's coming from the Peruvian communities of practice in the Ministry of Education. Communities of practice are groups of people who share a concern or passion for something they do and learn how to do it better as they interact regularly. This is the working definition that I use for communities of practice. It comes from Wenger and Trainer. They've done an incredible amount of work around the concept of communities of practice in the professional world. So I reference them throughout this session. Communities of practice are groups of people who share a concern or passion for something that they do and learn how to do it better as they interact regularly. Let's go a little bit deeper into this definition. I want you to take a minute and think about the first part. Communities of practice are groups of people. What kind of groups are you in right now? Are you in some groups voluntarily? Are you in some groups involuntarily that you have to be in those groups? Are they personal or professional or both? Are you in virtual groups? Are you in face-to-face groups? Are you in groups that are formally organized, or are they just casual groups? Is there something else that you think about when you think about the groups that you're in? How did you get involved in the group? What do you get out of being in that group? Do you feel like you belong? Why or why not? And do you like the groups that you're in? Why or why not? Communities practice are groups of people who share a concern or passion for something they do and learn how to do it better. So if you think about the groups you mentioned in the last slide, which groups are you in that actually share a concern or a passion and a focus on learning to some degree? And how are these groups different from other groups? So I'm going to give you an example from my personal life. I have friends. I have a group of friends here, and we get together and we eat meals and we hang out and we share conversation. We help each other out when there's challenges. We meet socially. So that's a group of people that I'm in, but it's not community of practice. It's a group of friends, right? I'm also in a group here that is a group of friends that are also teachers. And we share a passion for teaching, and we get together and we talk about teaching, and we share resources about teaching, and we try and learn more about how we can be better teachers. That is a community of practice, right? Thinking about your groups, which ones are groups and which ones might be a community of practice. And then how would you describe your participation in the group? Is it focused on learning and growth? And are you very active, sort of active, not really active? The thing about communities of practice is you don't have to always be in the center and be the most active. You can have a variety of roles in the community of practice, and it can still be a community of practice. There are three main words I want us to really pay attention to when we're thinking about what is a community of practice. So we know communities of practice are groups of people who share a concern or passion for something they do and learn how to do it better as they interact regularly. We have our domain, we have the community, and we have the practice. The domain is what we care about. So for us right now, I think we're all English teachers. So we care about English learning, right? And we care about our students, right? The community as the people involved, and the practice is what it is that we're actually doing. So in my community of practice with teachers, we have a WhatsApp group and we share ideas on WhatsApp. We meet on Zoom once a month. We share ideas there. And we also share like a Google folder where we can share ideas. So the practice is what is it that we're doing and learning? We're teaching, and then we're learning about teaching. Another way to look at these three words is for domain, community, and practice. I'm looking at the black and white image on my left. So the domain is the focus. It's what's guiding our learning and provides meaning and value and common identity. So in my group, we're all English teachers, right? And our focus is on English. I'm also starting to be involved in another English teacher group that the focus is on STEAM and English for STEAM. So that's a different domain, right? As opposed to just English teaching in general, right? The community is the people who care about the domain and interact in the process. So who are the people in the community? And the practice is the mutual engagement of the community members in the activity of the domain. So it's like, what is it that we are doing, right? One thing I think I really like about the term of community is that it's the relationships that are built. So it's not just an individual person, it's the ties and the connections between the people involved, or the web between the people involved. So that's those three words I really think are important when you're thinking about your community of practice, or if you're feeling challenged by a community of practice and say, you know, what's going on here? We all have the same domain, the same practice, but maybe our relationships aren't good, or we have nice relationships, we have a good practice, but we don't have a focus in our domain, right? So it's a nice way to think about both how do you build the community and also how do you sustain it and how do you work through challenges. This is one other image that I really like that I wanted to share because of this idea that in between the community and the domain, we're developing a sense of belonging. Between the domain and the practice, we're solving worthwhile problems. And between the community and the practice, we're sharing these good practices. So really thinking about what is it that we're doing within these community, the domain, and the practice. I'm going to go through a series now of 8 core concepts for building and sustaining a thriving community of practice. There are 8 concepts, and I want to share them with you because building a thriving community of practice takes work. It takes effort. It doesn't just happen by itself. And so I think these are 8 core tasks and ways of being and things to do that will help your communities of practice thrive. So the very first one is creating a shared vision and purpose, right? And that is so important because it helps us align. It helps us know why we're doing what we're doing. It also helps us be more committed to the group and to each other. And it helps us make decisions about what to do, what not to do, and what to do. So you can have a session with your core leadership team to define what your mission, vision, goals are. Or you could do it with a whole group of people in the whole community of practice. Either one of those works. You can do workshops, you can do a vision board, you can have an online place, that the online whiteboard that you use, or a Padlet, so that you help people offer their ideas about what it is, what's your vision, your mission, your goals, objective. And to do it regularly, to check in at least once a year or twice a year. Is this still our vision? And is this still our purpose? And do we still commit to this? Because sometimes they change too. The second core concept I want to share is fostering open communication and inclusivity. This is so important because this is what builds trust. This is what builds connection. This also is something that helps us maintain our commitment to diversity and really hearing everyone's voices to the best of our abilities, right? So having open communication might involve having an active chat, like in WhatsApp, where people are participating and they feel comfortable participating. It could be having a discussion board someplace. It could also be making sure you're sending out regular communications to your community of practice, and also that you're checking in with your community of practice whenever main decisions are being made. The third core concept is cultivating leadership and shared ownership. It is so important to have intentional leadership in our communities of practice. And we need leadership that is based on shared power, so that it encourages shared ownership. When your members of your community practice feel a sense of ownership, they will act and they'll take initiative so much more than if they didn't. So we invite you to model brave and empathetic leadership, to really work on rotating leadership roles. So you don't want to have the same leadership, the same person in charge every year for 5 years. It's important to cultivate younger leadership and support them in growing and provide mentorship for younger leaders to come up in the ranks, so that you can rotate and have shared leadership. And you can celebrate the members who want to take initiative and be very active by becoming leaders. Number 4, encourage continuous learning and reflection. This is the purpose of the community of practice, right? Is lifelong learning and lifelong reflection. It ensures personal growth and collective evolution. So one way to help learning happen is to give some stimulus, like bringing in speakers or toolkits. But another way is also to reflect together and really practice reflecting together on what is happening in our classrooms and our world. You could be journaling or discussions. So just think about both of those. What's the input, but then also what's the processing that we're going to do that encourages continuous learning and reflection. Number 5, core concept number 5 is promoting equity and belonging. And this is so incredibly important. It matters because a diverse and inclusive community of practice ensures that all the members feel valued and all the members feel they can contribute to richer discussions and equitable outcomes. So this main question, like, do your members feel like they belong? And how can you promote that? So one way is actually by listening to them, by asking people questions and having them speak and be heard. Another way is to acknowledge the contributions that people are doing. Another one, you could ask them, do you feel a sense of belonging? What would help you feel a greater sense of belonging? And then how the meetings are run, whether, who gets to speak and when, and is it fair? Is the process fair about how people get to speak? I just had somebody in one of my classes this week say, Mary, it's too messy. Please ask everybody to raise their hands. I was like, yes, I think that's a good idea. I think that's a very good idea. So that's core concept number 5, promoting equity and belonging. Core concept number 6, support collaboration and community building. Collaboration and community building are going to strengthen the threads of connection in your community of practice. So this involves having habits, regular habits, but maybe like having what some people call it a warmer, some people call it a community builder, but regular activities at the beginning of every single session where we learn about each other, where we learn something about each other, where we create something together or have a problem solving something or something that gives us a reason to have meaningful interaction. We can also do check-ins and find out how people are doing. We can help people collaborate by choosing who they get to collaborate with. There's a lot of ways to support collaboration and community building. And if we don't do it, the community practice will not function. It will not. So it's number 7. They're all important. Number 6 is super important. Number 7, also super important. Recognize and celebrate achievements. So for this concept, sometimes it's easy to finish a task and just move forward. Say, okay, what's next? What's next on my list? What's next on my agenda? But it is so important to take some time to celebrate, whether there are personal things happening in people's lives or whether it's a group, like it's a group, the end of some sort of particular tasks or sessions. It's so important to recognize and celebrate all achievements, small and large. You could also put it in newsletters or on social media, but it's important to recognize that. And the last core concept for building and sustaining this thriving community practice is to ensure sustainability and growth. So we're not only working right now, we're working for our idea of the future. And so what can you do to ensure that your community of practice will be healthy in the future? So having succession plans, documenting your institutional knowledge because people leave. So that's part of life. And so making sure we have ways to capture and document that, building partnerships and for support, and balancing your own personal life with your professional and community needs are all examples of things that we can do to ensure sustainability and growth. So these are the 8 core concepts that I wanted to share with you. I am so curious about how that is for you. I also would like to share with you a few resource slides. And so I have 3 slides here where I mention the key thinkers. If you would like to learn more about communities of practice, you'll see the key thinkers here, and a little bit about their main ideas, and then the website about where you can find more of their ideas. And these first 3 have been so big in the field of community of practice. Etienne Wenger-Trainer, Jean Lave, and Beverly Wenger-Trainer also. I mean, they have been doing research for years on communities of practice, and there's a lot of wisdom in their work. So if you were to choose only 3, I would say go with these 3. Peter Senge, Nancy White, and John Seely Brown also have a lot of beautiful information to offer us about learning organizations, facilitation, both face-to-face and online, and also more about the role of technology in our communities of practice. And the last 3 here, we have Richard Dermott, Amy Edmondson, and Julian Stodd, also have done a lot of work in communities of practice and have great ideas on their websites and in their research and their writing that we can learn from. So thank you so much for taking some time with me to think about communities of practice. And I hope that you enjoy your time creating a shared vision and purpose, fostering open communication and inclusivity, cultivating leadership and shared ownership, encouraging continuous learning and reflection, promoting equity and belonging, supporting collaboration and community building, recognizing and celebrating achievements, and ensuring sustainability and growth. None of those are simple. They all take work, they all take focus. And if you work a little bit in each area over a longer period of time, you're going to have the most amazing fruit coming off your cherimoya tree. So thank you all so much. I wish you luck with the conference. I wish you luck with your communities of practice. I look forward to hearing if there are any questions or any needs that I can respond to. I feel so grateful to have had time with you all today. Thank you so much.